Hello, my dears. This is Resilient Lives coming to greet you on this Wednesday. Normally, Wednesdays is one of my fun days. And at least today, the sun was shining. Yesterday, it was a cloudy day, and it just felt like you felt the burdens of the world. But today was a sunny day. But it's Wednesday, which means that the week is halfway over. And so how's things going for you? Well, all is well, and we are hearing so many things in the news and every place. It's like we're just overwhelmed with everything. But I just wanted to send you a thought out and just ask you to enjoy the day and enjoy every day. Because with so much happening, I have to stop and remind myself that there has got to be some good happening in spite of all of the craziness that we hear and feel. So I'm beaming love to you and just doing a shout out so that we continue to be on this journey. You know, I'm just hearing all of the various unanticipated change. You know, this pandemic has kind of rolled in and things keep happening. And we have been dealing with them. Sometimes it just feels like it's so much. It feels like the shock of all of the grief and the unanticipated things has rearranged our insides. You know, we're not sure how to feel. I mean, and that's kind of a weird way of thinking about it, to think that our whole insights, our whole way of being has been rearranged by the pandemic, by isolation, by separation from our communities, and our just doing things differently have thrown us off. So we're dealing with change, but unanticipated change. And that is something that always, no matter whether it's a disease or a certain sudden diagnosis, it always comes with some type of sense making. How can I make sense out of this? And then when you have it in so many areas, it is just overwhelming. And so we have to guard our hearts. We have to be aware. I know I was feeling a little sad myself, and I said, well, what is it? I was trying to find the source of it. Well, which one of these things is it? And so it is important to recognize that we are dealing with changes and to figure out how we're going to deal with it. The heart of change is trying to determine how to deal with the challenges of the change. Sounds easy to say. How to deal with the challenges of all of these things: job loss, death, all these things, too numerous to mention, and you already know most of them. And so we just want to have a sense of urgency. You know, this is not the time to be complacent. We are in the middle of so much toxicity, and we want to make sure that we act and have some action and determine whether we're going to sit by and let someone else live our lives or whether we are going to take ownership and be in charge of our own lives. And so here we go. But we've been doing a good job of staying together and calling and checking on each other. But this pandemic and the racism, oh my, it has gone up a notch. And then with all of the financial hardships and so much, it's how to handle this, how to handle the challenge. It's something that we really, really, really have to be aware of or think about. So we want to have some urgency and not have complacency, especially as voting time comes, especially when it comes to safeguarding ourselves from this pandemic. I mean, because we're all kind of nervous. I know I had a doctor's appointment and he said, maybe you should be tested. And I'm thinking, tested? I mean, what? It was something I was like, well, where, how, who, what, where, how does one get this when one is living in a bubble? But the good news is my test was negative, but it gives you pause because you want to try and be safe and you want to look at people who you're with and you don't know who they've been with. So you just keep listening to yourself. But we want to be aware of dealing with this change and dealing with each other and looking out for each other, and so that we will continue to thrive and not become complacent, you know. I think earlier we talked about not letting our attention slide. And sometimes that happens. Our attention starts to slide because we've been doing things habitually. We've been in a routine. And so this is the time when we really need to look at things and take on a sense of urgency as to our next steps. I think we talked a little bit about pivot. Well, this would be the time to pivot, to look at what we're doing and see if we need to make a change and then do a change. And so we are at that stage where we want to see, feel, and change. That's how we're going to think about this, dealing with this change. We're going to see. By seeing, I mean, we're going to see what in our organizations, in our relationships, in our jobs, or what's the way it's looking. How are things looking? How are things going on? We gotta see it, and then once we see it and we're aware of it, then we're going to feel it. We're going to feel it in our heart, and we say this is not feeling right. And once we visualize it. I'm a visual person. I like to see things. Once we visualize it and see that, this isn't going to right, and then we're feeling it in our heart, and then we know that action is needed. So I would suggest that as we continue on this journey, dealing with these uncertainties every day, dealing with the craziness and the layers of change that just keeps jumping in our laps and everything, I would suggest that we think about see, feel, and change. See it, visualize it, recognize there's a change needed, feel it in our hearts, and then start rolling. Because, as they're saying, this pandemic is like a rolling thunder. It just keeps coming and it keeps happening, and that doesn't seem to be a let up. And so I just want you to know that you are loved. We're in this together. We're going to thrive. And so take care, and we'll be talking with you again. Bye-bye now.